Ciao amici of Maestro Leo's Pizzeria. Today I'm going to be showing you my method for making gluten-free dough. I know I'm a master at things with gluten in them, but I have so many people looking for options for gluten-free that I decided to share all my tips and tricks with you. Let me show you how it's done. Come on, let's go. "35 years, this never gets old." This dough is super simple to make, and actually I'm gonna use my KitchenAid mixer or any stand mixer will do. To get going here, I'm gonna talk about my recipe really quick. I'm using a gluten-free mix. This one comes from Italy, and I've tried them all. This one from Caputo is probably my favorite because they figured out how to extract the starch from the wheat, and it actually has some wheat flavor. Now, this KitchenAid mixer, as you can see here, is probably not my first option of mixing. But for this dough, we're gonna utilize the paddle attachment because since we're not creating gluten, we don't need to treat this like a regular dough. So this one, because we're making something that's in essence a batter, that's why we're gonna use this right here. So to start out, I've got 500 grams of the Caputo Pure Glute mix. In here, we're also gonna add 400 grams of water. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna start by adding the water right now. Along to that, I'm gonna add 13 grams of sea salt because it dissolves in water very quickly. And then before everybody starts to freak out, I'm actually gonna add the yeast into the water as well. And I know, why do we freak out? Because we say, well, we should never mix the salt and the yeast together, but the way that this comes together, it goes very quickly. Now, in order to do this, I'm also gonna put some olive oil in this. I've got 17 grams of olive oil, but we're gonna put this in at the very end. So now that my yeast and my salt and my water have stirred around in here a little bit, I'm gonna turn this off and I'm gonna add all the flour into the bowl. By doing this method here, we're giving this a head start. Because we're not creating gluten, this could technically be a same-day dough, meaning that we don't need to give this lots of time and days in the background. I'm gonna put this lock on here and I'm gonna get it going. I'm gonna put this, once the water starts to combine with the flour, I'm gonna bring this up to the second speed. Do yourself a favor, unless you wanna redecorate your kitchen, start slow and move up. If not, all this flour is gonna be all over the place. E, come on in. I wanna show you that inside of this bowl, as this mixes, I told you it kind of looks like a batter. Right now, it probably looks like cake frosting. And all the ingredients in here, I used warm water, salt, yeast, everything is going in here. We're gonna bring it all together and let this sit. As this is mixing about 5 minutes, at that point, I'm gonna add the oil, and then I'm gonna go ahead, give it another couple minutes, stop mixing, and I'll talk to you about the rest of the process. Let's let this go, and then I'm gonna come right back and show you where we go. 5 minutes has now elapsed, and I'm ready to add the oil. I'm gonna reduce this to first speed, or on the KitchenAid, it actually says stir on it, and I'm gonna add the oil into it right now. By doing this method, again, you're gonna ensure that you're not gonna get oil splattered all over your kitchen, and it'll incorporate really good. About 2 minutes is what we need here on the machine to go on first speed. Also, you notice that I've started to wear gloves now, and I'm gonna talk to you a little bit about cross-contamination, because if someone is truly intolerant to gluten or fully celiac, we wanna make sure that we do what we can not to make them sick. So come back in 2 minutes and we'll talk about what's next. Okay, 2 minutes is up and this dough is ready to go. E, come on over, I'm gonna show you how this looks. This dough, when you look at it, like I said, it kind of looks like cake frosting here, right? We're gonna leave this here for a second because what I'm gonna do next is I need to prepare my surface in order to create that clean, non-contaminated work environment. I'm gonna use plastic wrap because I haven't found a way that works better than plastic wrap because it sticks so nice to everything. Now watch, CJ, this is probably gonna be the one time that plastic wrap does not stick to our table. Yeah, we're gonna blow it. It looks like it's already happening. Anyways, put some plastic wrap down, okay? Because this is the only way that I found that truly will eliminate any kind of contamination. I don't know. Maybe you guys can comment below how to work with plastic wrap better than I'm doing right now. What a mess.
That'll do.
We'll try to do as best as I can. Sorry, guys. I'm embarrassing myself and my family right now.
Yes, you are.
Yes, I am. Because this stuff is so sticky, we need a little bit of olive oil. You want to come and do a little pickup over here of olive oil?
Go for it, Leo.
Great. So what I'm doing now, I've got my dough scraper here. I'm going to add a little bit of oil to this. And now this is the point where you cannot use too much olive oil, right? You might see me put it on like a little aftershave or something, but might have that nice Mediterranean skin because of the amount of oil that I use. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to scrape this down, and you can see just by the way this is cutting off of the paddle that that little bit of oil does do a big job. So don't be afraid to use a little bit of extra virgin olive oil.
Extra.
There you go. Okay, now this is all done. I'm going to get rid of this. Let's put a little bit more here on our surface. You'll notice it's on my gloves. It's on my work surface. Fantastic. Let me get this bowl out of here. If I can, you can see how much I work with a planetary stand mixer. But because of that little bit of oil, come on in. You see how I can kind of scrape the bowl, and all of a sudden this turns into something that looks more like Play-Doh, right? And that's really in essence what we're creating. Because this doesn't have any gluten to it, it's literally just mix the ingredients, combine the water. For those of you who took a baking class out there, and you might want to say, hey, chef, did you just make a dough that's about 90% water? I would say, yes, I did. It's not 90% water, it's 90% hydration in baker's percentage, because I know there's gonna be a troll out there that's gonna call me out saying, you don't know what you're talking about, it's not 90% water. That's right. It's 90% based on the flour. And then all of a sudden, look at this. It came out one nice piece, didn't stick to anything. So whoever told you that gluten-free is a sloppy mess and you can't do it and don't get into the business of making it is incorrect. I literally have a master certification from the oldest pizza school in Italy on this style of pizza, gluten-free. So listen to Uncle Leo, I'll never steer you wrong. I'm gonna divide this. This is about 1,000 grams right now. I'm gonna divide this into 4 pretty equal parts and make 250 gram dough balls. Get my scraper here. And if we did our job right, I can kind of square this off into a little log, right? Cut it right down the middle. Or I know that you all have a scale now, right guys? Right? So we'll cut this here in half, and then we'll cut this here in half. And we should have 4 pretty even dough balls. Now, because we're not doing our traditional dough ball, think of maybe like rolling meatballs at this point, right? And if you haven't seen my meatball recipe, go to my channel, because I made some fire meatballs inside that oven right there.
Best meatballs I ever had.
Best meatballs. If CJ said he liked those meatballs, man, I'll tell you, this guy eats chicken McNuggets for a living. So, do we call them that, or we call them chicken? No, chicken fries is what I heard around here a lot.
That's not me. Excuse me.
Chicken fries. All right. So let's take these again, make a nice little ball, and I'm going to show you how simple this is. Hey, CJ, did we got one of those inserts for the Blackstone dough boxes? Those little orange inserts?
Yeah, you need some help with that?
Could you please?
I got you.
Great. Come on over. And then once I have this done, I'm going to have you grab, I'm going to grab the plastic wrap because I don't want you to contaminate this whole thing, all right?
Contamination-free zone.
But I'll show you why this is great. I love these inserts, and I know I've talked about these in my videos before. I love this as a dough tray, not as a condiment tray, which you've probably seen so many of the Griddle crew talking about that they use. I love to use this as a dough tray as well. The only thing is you're going to have to cover them really good. And you'll see right now, I'm going to take a little plastic wrap. I'm going to come back like this, and I'm going to get oil all over everything. Anybody ever been to New York and see the way that they make fresh mozzarella? If you haven't, look at some videos. I know they're out there of people making fresh mozzarella, especially maybe your favorite deli in New York. Take a ball like this, and the method that we use is to literally take a piece of dough, just like this would be a little ball of mozzarella, wrap this up over, come on in close. Wrap this over like this, okay? And then take the ends right here and give this a little spin, okay? And all of a sudden, you have this perfect little dough baby. Put this inside the insert here, because the goal is gonna be go ahead, make all the dough balls, stick them in here, and we're looking to double in size. So maybe 2 to 3 hours, maybe not even. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna let these rest, and then we're gonna come right back when they're ready, and I'm gonna make a pizza for you. How about that? Stick around, guys. This is gonna get exciting really quick. My dough is just about to the point that I want to get it to, so it's time to start prepping my ingredients. I'm using sausage inside of the casing because sometimes at your local butcher shop or grocery store, it's not always possible to find raw Italian bulk sausage. You can see here in my technique, I'm just using a knife and I'm pulling the Italian sausage out of the casing. I'm going to take the Italian sausage and form it into a large patty. Before going into the cast iron pan, I'm going to put a little bit of oil into the bottom, and then I'm going to flatten the sausage evenly into the bottom of the pan. That little bit of oil that I'm adding is not so much for non-stick purposes. It's just to kind of help everything spread to the edges of the pan. I'm going to put this whole thing into the oven, and what I'm looking for is a little bit of color on the top. When you see that the edges of the Italian sausage and the top have started to turn brown, that's all we needed to go to, because the idea is that I'm going to cook this in the middle, but I'm not trying to fully cook it. I've made some roasted garlic olive oil, and that's what I'm using to drizzle, and what's left is this poached garlic, like confit style. I'm going to put this on top of the cutting board. I'm going to give it a rough chop, and that's going to be perfect for going on top of this pizza. Now, you'll notice that before I start crumbling this sausage, I'm actually going to blot it to remove a little bit of the excess oil, because when this cools, if there's too much oil on it, you'll notice that it kind of clumps together, and I'm not looking for that. I'm going to put this on the cutting board, and again, I'm just going to hand crumble it once it's cool enough to touch. I'm putting all my ingredients together on a cutting board so that I don't have to keep touching things all around the kitchen. Again, the idea is I'm trying to reduce contamination going onto this gluten-free pizza. Put a little flour down and remove one of your dough balls to begin stretching. I'm lightly pressing and forming this into a round disc. Since I'm not using a regular dough that has gluten in it, we're literally just pressing out a circle. Notice that I'm gently tapping and pressing around this. I'm going to do about a 10-inch pizza, but depending on how big or small you like this, go ahead and adjust the dough ball size based on how big of a pizza you'd like. I'm also going to use a pastry brush. I'm using a Teflon one because I feel that these are easier to clean, and again, reducing contamination. I'm going to use this to remove some of the excess flour off of the top of the dough. And then I'm going to give a light drizzle of olive oil. I'm using that roasted garlic oil on top of this for a little bit of extra flavor, but that little bit of oil is going to help keep this really nice and golden brown on this pizza as it bakes. It's also going to prevent some of that excess moisture from the tomato sauce for leaking in, and this gluten-free crust will have a much nicer texture to it. I'm going to follow this up with a light layer of pizza sauce, and then follow it up with some of that mozzarella that I cubed up. This is low moisture mozzarella, whole milk, and you're going to see how beautiful this melts on top. Next, I'm going to add my torn sausage all over the top, followed by that chopped garlic, and then I'm using some of that beautiful dry Sicilian oregano on the branch. If you've never used it, get yourself some because it's a game changer here. Now to launch, I'm gently sliding my peel underneath the pizza. You'll notice that just a little bit of dusting flour is all I need. I'm using gluten-free flour for this whole process. In your Blackstone pizza oven that's set to about 600 to 650 degrees, go ahead and gently launch that pizza and cook it for about 3 to 4 minutes. Keep an eye on it. I'm looking for the edge of this to be nice and golden brown. I'm looking for the bottom to be nice and baked through. I'm pulling this out right now. I'm going to set it onto my cutting board, and I'm going to finish this with a little bit more of that Italian oregano, followed by a little bit of that extra roasted chopped garlic, which will give me 2 different textures and flavors. Guys, how easy was this? And now for the moment of truth. will CJ actually eat it? Because the whole time he's been saying, this ain't a real pizza. And I want to show you guys how amazing this looks. Come in close. I want to show you something real fast before I cut this. Look at the bottom of this crust, how beautifully it baked. A nice browning that we have here. And then the top, the ingredients are done so beautifully. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut this. And if you'll notice, as I'm cutting this, I'm going to give this an 8 cut, we're going to call this. So I'm going to make an X, and then everywhere in between, I'm going to cut another strip down. Can you hear the edges, Chris? Like that crackle out of this? It's so beautiful.
Yeah, you might have made a believer out of me. I'm definitely ready to try this.
Now, the other thing that's so cool is that if you look into the side here, check this out. It doesn't look like it's gummy or rubbery. It actually looks like regular pizza dough. And you can see that the bubbles go all the way through from the crust to the tip. Now for the moment of truth. CJ, you want to come do this with me?
Oh, let's do it, bro.
Come on, bro. Come on in. Grab a slice, and you tell me, without me opening my mouth, you tell me out of your mouth what you think of. Is this your first gluten-free pizza?
This is my first gluten-free pizza.
Let's try it, man.
Right.
Salud.
Salud. Truthfully, I can't even tell.
Dude, that's a banging sausage pizza. How simple was this dough to put together? We used a few simple ingredients that you can source at almost any grocery store. Let's just say it. And like CJ said, this is a beautiful pizza. Guys, I hope I inspired you to try gluten-free pizza. I can't wait to hear if you tried this and your success stories. Guys, I'll talk to you soon. Ciao, amici.